Welcome back, everyone. Today is the day where we start putting this old monitor back together. I have an important thing to state, though. This is important. Just because something is old does not mean it needs a recap. I said it. There you go. It's been said, it's been stated. Now, there's a lot of asterisks and caveats and footnotes that must go with that statement. The thing is, so as most of you loyal viewers know, I restore car stereos for a side business. It's something I fell into. Turns out there's a demand for a very specific audience. And I have been able to fulfill that need and make a lot of people very happy. Most of that work involves replacing up to 50 capacitors or so. And it's tedious, it's time consuming, and it's not terribly expensive material-wise, but it's something that has to be done. And it's only a part of what I do. It's not like I just recap stereos and send it out. No, there's usually more work that's needed. My point is this. With those car stereos, most of them coming from early to mid-90s Mazda Miatas, those stereos are exposed to high temperatures, wide temperature fluctuations and adverse conditions, moisture, etc. And those caps are usually pretty roached. And not only that, but they were built in that time period, early 90s, up until about 2000, the ones that I typically see. The quality of capacitors has varied wildly over the past 70 years. 70 years ago, they were making capacitors out of, cardboard dipped in wax. And then they started making these multi-sectional capacitors like this one over here, okay, that you would typically find in a stereo or a TV set. And these capacitors had a very high failure rate. It wasn't until like the 1970s, 60s, 70s or so, when they started to manufacture capacitors that look more like what we see today. But the formula of the electrolyte and the quality of the materials was very high back then. Here's an original one, here's an original one, here's an original one. These capacitors generally have a very unusually high service life from what I'm finding. And just because these exist does not mean they need to be replaced. It's not a bad idea to check them, though. And to do that, I use my ESR 70. This little guy, my Peak ESR 70. What I'm getting at. So I was getting ready to order a complete cap kit for this. I actually have a list of caps, every value, every location, where they go, etc. And I was getting ready to order every cap that I need to redo this monitor chassis. This is a 1984 IBM 5130, whatever it is. I can never seem to remember that model number for the life of me. 5185, I think it is. Hold on. Close. 5153. So, an IBM 5153. This monitor was built in Taiwan in 1984. And it used Elite capacitors. That's the brand name, Elite. And I have replaced all of the lower value ones that are caps that I normally keep in stock here at the house. I did all of them. Well, almost all of them. And I decided to check the old capacitors to see how they stack up, because I'm expecting, values that are stupidly high for ESR, low capacitance, the usual stuff that you find in a car stereo, for example, from the 1990s. Every capacitor that I yanked out of this machine tested good. Not only did they test good, they tested above stated capacitance. Quite a bit above in some cases. ESR was good across the board. Good ESR all across the board. Very low. 1 ohm or less. That's good. Every single cap. I then went through my bin of brand new caps. These are Chemets, Panasonics, Nichicons. See, some of the values that I work with, they're just not available from the top tier manufacturers sometimes, so I have to go a little bit below. But they're not Capzon caps, which are really bad. But they're, they're from reputable brands like Chemet. Again, I do have some Nichicons. I've got some. Well, anyway, I went through and I checked Rubicons. I do use a lot of Rubicons. So I checked the values of the new ones. And I was not surprised to find that they were just a tad low from what they're stated on the side of the can. So some of them are a bit low. ESR was good. No issues there. My point is, the caps that came out of this machine, which are 40 years old, were actually better than the ones I put in. Let that sink in for a second. 40-year-old capacitors, no issues. There's nothing wrong with them. But, again, I suspect that this monitor was not used that much to begin with. I think this monitor had a very short service life. It was probably used for a couple of years and then scuttled away. But I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared to find that the values of the original caps were actually, really good. And that having been said, I've decided I'm not going to replace any more. Why? Why spend the money? There's no point. If I had even just one bad cap in this chassis, I would have said, you know what? Let's just do them all. But none? Come on. None. No bad ones. I haven't touched the power supply yet. I'm not going to. I'm just going to let it ride. And if I have to take it apart again in a couple of years, I'll take that risk. What I don't see here is a reefa cap. I thought these had reefa caps in them, but I don't see one. It would be in the power supply somewhere. And I don't see a reefa cap, do you? I see a lot of ceramic resistors, but no reefa caps. Reefa caps are kind of a meme in the electronics or vintage computer hobby and vintage TVs as well. They're known for blowing the fuck up. To put it bluntly, they blow up, sometimes catastrophically, and I don't see one in here. Getting back to caps, now this Power Designs power supply that I use to power test all of my car stereos. This unit right here dates back to 1964, and it is all original inside, including the capacitors. And those caps are the size. There's a couple of caps in here. You can't get them anymore. They're the size of fucking beer cans. And I'm not even exaggerating. They are. If you touch one of those caps, it's going to blow your arm off. This thing produces, and I hooked it up to my scope just to see what is it putting out, and it puts out a nice clean DC, the DC power output. Nice and clean. It's one of the cleanest power supplies I think I've ever seen. No fluctuation, just solid 12 volts. No issues. Original caps, and they're probably PCB filled caps, and they are still kicking. No issues. I guess what I'm trying to get down to when I get down to brass tacks, if you find a monitor that is, or any vintage piece of hardware like this, maybe it's a good idea to spot check. Just spot check a few of them. Just see what you get. But if it's 5% above stated capacitance, that's pretty damn good. And I don't think these caps are ready to die just yet. Now I'm going to put this thing back together, and we're going to do that in this video. And we're going to test it out again, put it back on the IBM and see how she goes. But, You know, this is an exception to the rule of cap everything because there's no need to. There's just no need. All right, guys, let's reassemble. So we're going to start off with the front cover. This paint has hardened pretty good, but it still scratches easily with my thumbnail, so I'm going to be careful. I don't want to leave any impression on it. We're going to put the CRT in place. That's the first thing that goes in. Okay, watch out. Before I do that, I'm going to position it in a way that doesn't allow the neck to get smashed off. I'm going to clean the face of the CRT with a little bit of window cleaner and a microfiber cloth. Because it's easier to clean a CRT when it's out of the machine than when it's in. In other words, you can access areas that are just not accessible otherwise. So, I'm just going to give the face a good cleaning all around the edges before we drop it into the housing. This is a good CRT without any burn-in. These are sometimes very, very, very hard to come by. Okay. Got my CRT here. The aperture cap goes on top. So we'll just drop it right in like that. Okay. All right. Okay. That's done. I'm going to give the whole thing a good wipe down just because while we're in here, you know, make it look pretty. All right. There's a little bit of Aquadag is in good shape, so that's good. That's the Aquadag is the is a paint-like substance that covers the whole thing. Okay. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put the mounting screws in place. I should have a whole bin full of those right here. All that mounting hardware has to go back in. So the rubber washers are, they're a little bit compressed, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. That one. All right. There are screws here. When I thread these in, I'm going to back them off, and I can feel a bump in the screwdriver. See that? Hear that bump? What that's doing is it's aligning the threads in the screw with the threads in the bezel. It's a very critical step to make sure that you don't cut new threads in by accident. That would be bad. If you just go ahead and send it home without doing that one step first, you're going to run the risk of cracking the plastic. So we don't want to do that. So that's why we're doing it that way. Okay, there we go. Feel that bump? You don't want to go too tight because, again, we're talking 40-year-old plastic. nothing ages worse than plastic. So, I'm missing a screw. Oh, it's right there. All right, now we have to drop in the grounding wire. Now, did this screw into the display housing like that, or how did this go in? I will admit this is the one thing that I'm not too positive on. I believe it goes like this. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Yeah, this had a okay. Yeah, let me make sure I get this on right. There were very specific screws that this went into. That actually might have to be placed underneath. Yeah, I may have to take this back out again. I have to go back into my notes and check. So sometimes I learn from my own mistakes, and what I refer to is I didn't take any real notes when I took this apart. I never usually do, and I never usually have a problem with that, but this is one of those special circumstances where taking notes would have helped me in a big way. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how this is routed, this ground cable thing. Based on the video I took, this is how it's routed. So it loops around the bottom, connects to here, then loops up, and it deadheads over here. And then there's a splice here. And then the degaussing coil goes on top. Now, the problem that I'm having is, so obviously, so that has to connect to something. This goes here. That goes there. So there should be some standoffs or mounts or something that screw into these places. I believe these actually go on top, and they interface with the front edge of the display cover. Okay, so I should have two of those, right? And they are the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. Those go there. And then these two, they mount like this. Now these are not universal. Left and right are stamped differently, and they're not labeled. Let's do left and right. But anyway, okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious. It goes here and there. Okay, all right, let's continue on like that. So we'll just put the screw here. And put the screwdriver in there like so. Back it off. Remember that trick? Back it off until you hear the bump, and then send it home. Although, I don't think so. I don't think so. That doesn't seem like it's going where it belongs. Okay, let's take a look at the other bracket. Is there a difference? No, they're exactly the same. What I don't like is, no, that's not the correct location for that bracket. Does it go this way? No, that doesn't make any sense at all. But I know it goes here. That much I know. Huh. We will have to figure that out sooner than later. Does that mount to the chassis? Don't see how it would. Okay. Or does it require this one? Yeah, that must be it. That makes more sense, I think. Yeah. And oh, it's keyed so that you can only put one bracket in each location. So we're moving there. We're moving in the right direction. I'm talking to myself like I'm in elementary school. Well, maybe I need that. Maybe I need to treat myself like I'm an idiot. That way I can improve my workmanship. Okay. That's all right. We all do dumb things. Improperly assembling an IBM 51 51 whatever is not one of them. Okay, we all do dumb things, right? Okay. But we learn as we grow. Everybody hold hands and sing, I love you. Okay, enough of that. All right, I think we're making progress. We're making progress. We're getting this thing back together. So I watched another video from I actually watched a couple of videos on folks who have already done what I'm doing now. I ain't no pioneer, okay? I'm not the first one to be inside one of these arm's length or arm deep into repairing one, or better yet, servicing it in general. There have been many men and women before me who have done the deed. But what I've learned from watching others do this is that, number one, there is a reefer cap in here somewhere. It's actually in the box that I didn't think had one in it. I have to go back and take another look. But also, this monitor is unique in that none of the caps have any signs of leakage. But it seems like it's a very common failure for these. But mine doesn't show it yet. It will. Eventually it'll let loose. Like that movie, Carrie. Why is that loose? There we go. Okay. Now let's get that out of the way. Now I think we're ready to drop in the CRT, and we'll get that done. So I put it in prematurely before, but now I'm in a better spot where I can do that. Here we go. Here we go. Make sure it's seated correctly. Sunny side up. If you really wanted to be a purist, really do a good job, you could replace the rubber washers. You can actually go to Lowe's and pick out some washers that fit the spot, but you don't need to do that. They're nice and flexible. Now, if these washers were brittle and cracking, I'd be all over replacing them. And these are not hard to come by. But they're nice and pliable. So we're going to leave them the fuck alone. Wouldn't you agree that's a good idea? I think so. Okay. Don't over tighten anything and we're good to go. All right. I thought I saw a crack in the plastic, but it's not a crack. But now's a good time to fix those. You're gonna occasionally come up across one of these. It's got you know, cracks forming all over the place. Doesn't seem to be an issue on this one. So these are all nice and sturdy. You want to be careful with flexing this plastic. It's old and brittle, just like your mom. I'm just kidding. Let's see. I'm gonna cut that out. All right. Now, let's grab our chassis. Okay. And we'll put it where it belongs, I guess. I'll try to anyway. So the reefer cap appears to be in this box right here. And like I said, I don't see any trouble signs at all anywhere. So again, I don't see any leakage or any electrolyte spilling anywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it back together. I'm going to just go on a limb and do that because I don't want to do anything I don't have to. This should just drop right in. Screws to this mount here. And then we're going to want to put the, there should be some screws. Yeah, it sits on a little shelf. Perfect. And I agree. There was another YouTuber who commented that this is a terrible design, and I agree with you. This is a pretty bad design. It's very unfriendly to the technicians who work on them, and yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think it's cruel, actually. It's just a cruel design. I don't know what they were thinking. Well, I know what they were thinking. I'm just upset that they were thinking that, you know. But then again, it was the 80s. And, you know, times were different. What am I saying? What I mean is, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and find the power LED board, and we're going to pop that in. It goes over here. Just get that out of the way first. All right. Let's get that done. And it goes like that. And there's a screw, maybe a very short one. What does this little one do? Where does that go? We'll figure that out in a minute. This one's kind of hard to get to, but I got it. Okay, good. There's a power LED, and we've got our control stack. Oh, before I put the controls in, I want to clean the contacts with a little deoxit. So we're going to grab some of that. Gonna bring out the big guns. This is the flushing action kind. This is good stuff. We're gonna just spray it into there. Flush those out. Obviously, we don't need to do the power switch because it's just a power switch. But it's gonna lubricate and clean those pots. Oh, it loosened it right up. Not sure I wanted to do that. Loosening these up just makes them more fidgety. That's all right though. Flush them out. There we go. What the hell? Why don't we do the power switch? It's a free country. I got money. Just kidding. I don't have money. Okay. All right. And we'll just kind of mop all that extra stuff up. Okay, now let's drop this in place. Now, okay. so that wire is not in anyone's way. I'll stick it over here. It's over here. Lay that down this way. Okay. I really don't like that. Could I have done a better job? I don't think so. If I positioned that the other way, I would still have this situation here. I'm talking to myself, don't mind me. Okay. I just don't like that being there. I guess it doesn't matter. All right. What I'm referring to is the placement of the degaussing coil wire. Oh, that screw's too long. If you find that if you're threading a screw in and you find that it bottoms out before it tightens the part, you've got the wrong screw. Don't force it. I'm going to do a pan shot of what this all looks like assembled. And then we're going to go from there. Now, where, oh where, does this little dog go? Where could it be? Ah, I see where it went. Check this out. See that little witness mark? That's where that goes. But this is what it looks like assembled. What I was pontificating over is whether or not this should be here or here, which means that I would have to tear it all back apart again. I guess it doesn't matter. It's not chafing on anything, so, you know, 120 volts goes through this. That's why I'm, yeah. So what's the lesson of the day, guys? Take good photos. Yay. Where does this plug in? Where does this plug in? Well, the way the wires laid out, I think it goes somewhere. Does it go into the neck board? Here, let's plug the neck board in, get that out of the way. There we go. Be very gentle. You don't want to break any pins. There we go. Where does this fucking thing go? I'll figure that out later. Shouldn't be too difficult to figure out. Yeah, and this little screw right here with this little washer, it's pretty obvious where that goes. That goes to our little ground cable. Like, obviously. There we go. Okay, so that's all squared away. Okay, that's fine and dandy. All right, what next? Well, we need to, number one, plug in that degaussing coil somewhere. Don't ask me where, because I don't know. Looking for a plug or a socket or something that it goes to. I don't see nothing. Sometimes it just plugs into a set of two pins that are standing next to each other. That's what you're usually going to go looking for. Okay, we'll just kind of get it like that. And now we can start putting stuff back. So these two wires here, let's see if I can maybe adjust my phone. All right, so there's going to be two wires that plug into, or they solder into the neck board. All right. I'm going to route these over this way towards the back. These two wires here, these go to the like a don't know what the exact term is for this, but it's a cable, like a steel cable that wraps the entire CRT. And it's there for, I believe, emissions purposes. Let's go ahead and hook up the high voltage at this point. I'm going to invert the cup, or the suction cup, and I'm going to just hook in. I'm going to need my need a pair of needle nose pliers. I have a pair here somewhere. There we go. We're going to go ahead and hook that in. Get that out of the way. There we go. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, yeah, it's in. Just kind of press it like that a little bit, maybe. Okay, suction cup's in. Okay, we're going to do the neck board screws. We've got this deflection coil harness that goes here. And I'm trying to find the plug for the Gauss coil. Oh, neck board's got to come out again so that we can solder in those two pins and or those two cables. All right, I'm gonna have to grab my soldering iron. Okay, the Gauss coil plugs in right here on the power supply. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's where all the line voltage is coming in, so that makes more sense than what I was thinking. So we'll just make sure that's all tucked in there. Okay, so we're just going to warm up the iron. We'll get those two soldered in, and that's it. It's not really a big deal, is it? If we do have to come back and do the remaining caps, we still have to pull it back completely apart, which kind of sucks. But I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do without going to those lengths. Let me show you. So we could still do some of the high voltage caps, the 200 volt ones. No, maybe not. Maybe not. We would still be, yeah, we don't have a lot of room to work there. So that's just, you know, to be expected, I suppose. You know. Okay. While the iron's cleaning up, I'm going to install my my control knobs. The top one is our power. Okay. That only goes on. These only go on one way. I don't know which one is brightness and which one is contrast. So I'm just going to kind of wing it. Yeah, and they're exactly the same. So it's anyone's guess as to which one's which. I'll just clean them up a little bit before we slide them in place. If I have to put them, I might have to go back and reference a photo or two. But those all seem to be okay. Nice, very nice. Soldering iron should be hot. Let me just clean it up. Let me grab some solder. Yeah, I don't have any solder out here, do I? Oh, I do, right there. Okay. All right, and the pins are over here. So we'll just get that lined up. I think the loop is still on it. So I should just be able to, should be pretty easy to do. Okay. But you know, your mileage may vary as it pertains to caps on old equipment like this. I mean, your mileage and your luck may vary. We got lucky here. We got a lot of good caps and no real issues. So, okay. Why couldn't they have just used the damn plug like everybody else? All right, I'm going to reinforce those with a little extra solder. It's not really that necessary, but, you know, I gotta do my thing. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. This is a lot more fun when the set is actually plugged in and turned on. I'm joking. That's not very funny. I shouldn't joke like that because some asshole is going to try that and then blame me for it when they die from electrocution. That should be fine. Okay. Yeah, they're pretty well attached. Like I said, I wish they had used a damn plug because, oh my god, I smell burning. I must have rubbed the iron on something. Anyway. Yeah, that's good enough. Good enough. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, let's double check those caps on the neck board. Make sure there's no residue, and there isn't. They're nice and clean. So I think we're fine. I mean, there's just, oh God. Really? This is such an interesting and difficult spot to get to. What the hell? Ugh. Very fun. Very fun. Thanks, IBM. Or Tatung. IBM didn't design this. Their vendor did. Just be clear on that. It was Tatung. Remember, most of the components in this PC were not even designed by IBM. They were designed by one of many suppliers. The monitor, of course, is usually never designed in-house. They might tell their supplier, you know, okay, we want it to look like this, but the rest is up to you. That's pretty much what happened here. Okay. But 40 plus years on, and it still works. I mean, that you can't argue with results. I mean, that's pretty damn good if I'm honest. All right, I'm gonna just finish up the assembly, and then we'll do some testing. All right, if this works, we'll put the badge on. But for now, we're just gonna see what happens. I don't hear any sparks. Let's turn these up. All right. This actually works now. So these weren't really working before, and now they are. I don't know if you guys remember in the early, well, shit, that was yesterday. What was happening was these weren't really doing anything. They just didn't make a difference. So I gotta wait for the ridiculously long memory test. That fan's gotta be replaced again, or at least worked on. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But it's a bad fan. Brand new fan, but makes a lot of noise. Just as much as the original one did, which is really sad. Okay. Here we go. But again, none of the capacitors I replaced were bad. No, not a single one. So, okay, here we go. So we need to get this thing adjusted. It is way off. It's not centered properly. Height's a little off. Yeah, the position is a little weird. So we may have to make some tweaky adjustments to the display position, which can be done internally, which means I've got to take the back cover back off. But that's okay. But that's all doable. Screen's actually kind of crooked now. Interesting. Yeah, it's not really centered anymore, which means that I must have tweaked the coil. of the deflection coil somehow. I don't know how, but... Or the display isn't centered. Well, that's unfortunate, but, you know, this works now, so that's good. Okay, well, all right. So we're not out of the woods yet. Well, how the hell did that happen? Oh, crap. All right, well, live and learn, I guess. I don't know. So I just tweaked the focus on it, and it pulled it in nicely. Now we've got to get the horizontal center over a bit. There's an adjuster right there for it. And I have some adjustment tools here. Hopefully one of them will do the job. Yeah, maybe this one here. Although I think there's a special tool for that one. It's a very long one. But there's our vertical center. Okay, and there's our horizontal. I'm certain that's our horizontal, but I can't get it to turn. I don't want to reach in there for obvious reasons, but I don't think I'm going to get... Yeah, this tool's not going to do the job. I need something like my fingers, maybe. I just don't want to get it in there. I know what I'll do. As far as it being off kilter... Yeah, there we go. So we'll turn that this way. Situational awareness is really critical here. Okay. It's possible the entire CRT could be tilted. And that's all. I'm going to go a little more. Yeah. It's possible that the entire CRT could be tilted. And if I just loosen up the mounting screws, which I can get to them very quickly, very easily. Otherwise, the deflection coil right there, that scary looking thing on the back of the CRT neck, is what we want to get to. We don't want to touch any of these guys, these three adjusters here. Those are our color adjustment. But if we had color, yeah, that's looking good. Aside from it being tilted a bit, I think we're good. I just need to loosen the mounting ears, if I can even get to them, without pulling the whole chassis back out. That would be fine and dandy. So back here we've got horizontal and I think horizontal phase, horizontal hold, and horizontal phase. We're going to leave those alone. And the two accessible ones, they just give you access to vertical position and vertical hold. And over here is our focus and screen adjustment. We're going to leave screen the hell alone. It looks pretty good as well. If you had raster lines or like horizontal, like kind of diagonal lines going down, that's where your screen is probably overdriven. We can drop that down. But right now, I'm thinking the entire CRT is a little tilted. So we have to go this way with it. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. Color accuracy looks pretty good. But that CRT is just a little bit off. And I believe this install of WordPerfect is set up for Hercules. I don't know why I'm getting this. The snow. It could be an issue with the graphics card. I've seen this before though. Let's see. Display. Yeah. It's set for Hercules. So we're now IBM CGA incompatibles. Okay. Text screen type. IBM EGA, VGA. I have no options that work. And whatever. I don't know why it's only 2 color. None of these are good options. Monochrome CGA. CGA. Yeah, let's give that a try. Yeah, I think this is a graphics card driver problem is what we're seeing here, because it doesn't do this in any other software that I run, so yeah, interestingly, I don't have anything close to what is accurate here to auto select. All right. F7. I said F7. No. I said yes. Let's see if that made a damn difference. No, it's still doing it. All right, we'll have to figure that, but I think it's just the graphics adapter is incorrect, and we're running on the wrong driver. That's all. So, okay, so we need to tilt it which direction? I have to double check. So we got to go like this. Just give it a good nudge. All right. Okay, that should do her. And not save. Exit, yes. So, unfortunately, this means I'm going to have to rotate the deflection coil, which can be a hairy process as they're cemented in place. And these older monitors do not have digital adjustments like the newer ones do for rotation. So we're going to have to crack that deflection coil loose and do the deed. So here's where I'm at. I've got the clamp off. The cement is just falling, just completely falling off. And I just can't get it to move. This rubbery stuff on the front isn't causing the issue. It's not really attached to much, but trying to get this to budge. I've got it unplugged, it turned off and all that. The PC's still running because I don't want to, oh yeah, I don't want to move these. These are your convergence rings, so you don't want to touch those. But we have to work around them and kind of work that yoke loose without breaking the neck. It wants to go, but it just won't go. I want to leave the spacers alone. You know. We don't want to do anything too drastic. There's no glue on the bottom, but maybe it's stuck. Yeah. Sometimes these can be a bear. I've never actually taken a deflection yoke off before. I don't want to remove it, I just want to rotate it just a little bit. But it doesn't seem to be possible. I was afraid of that. No, I think it's fine. Okay, we made it way worse. We got to go the other way. But you see how that made a difference, right? I don't want to do this while it's live. So we're going to tilt it this way, the way it wants to be. All right, how do we do? Okay, we went too far. This really should be done live with a mirror. But we'll just keep tweaking it until we get it. I think I got it. Looks pretty even to me. If not, just a nudge in the other direction. Let's grab a ruler. I have a steel ruler down here somewhere. God help me, I don't know where it is. All right, so as of right now, that looks pretty good. I do need a ruler. Yeah, it's as if it's got two completely different video modes. And like here, contrast does contrasty things. But yeah, okay. Huh, interesting. I'm noticing another problem. This is kind of a pre-existing condition with this machine, and I haven't been able to figure out why. But it randomly, the keyboard randomly glitches. It just starts typing random characters, and none of the keys are stuck. And it's not like it's one key that it keeps repeating. It doesn't seem to be the cable, and if I bounce the keyboard a few times, nothing happens. It doesn't, just randomly just starts generating characters. I've cleaned all the cable contacts. I've cleaned the keyboard. I've taken it completely apart and made sure that all of the latches are in the correct position, so it's not like there's a bunch of those that are stuck. I don't know where to go with this. I'm wondering if maybe the keyboard buffer chip is bad or something. I may need to find another board for this thing. I don't know what else to say. It's crazy though. It just keeps happening. But I think we've got the monitor adjusted right where we want it. Interesting about the color saturation or the color convergence is acting up. But I think it was like that before I even started this project. So that's not a new problem. That's a pre-existing issue. So it's just kind of mind-boggling to me why it's having these problems. I don't know what to make of it, but not surprised. I mean, it is quite old and invariably broken. But yeah, so what the hell, right? Let's try one of these discs. I'm gonna have to come across the official troubleshooting guide, which all that information is on the web. I can fix this thing pretty easily, I'm sure. Let's see if this disc is any good. I've got a spare floppy drive coming for this. I think there's a problem with the floppy drive as well. And yeah, so it's just, it's a clusterfuck. It's 40 years old. Yabba dabba do. MD. Yeah, the keyboard works fine until it doesn't. Oops. What? Oh. The fuck? Huh. Really now? Interesting. I can't type a period. It's like there's a stuck shift key, but... Oh. Ooh. telling you, there's a problem with... There's a problem with the... Oh, Jesus. This disc, too? Oh, my God. Nah, I know I remember why I put this machine on hold, because it's just been one thing after another. Floppy errors, keyboard problems, and display problems. Well, that was... An upgrade was needed, but... Let me button this thing back up again, and, yeah. Good times. Alright, well, I found a game that actually works. Both discs are readable, and here it is. Grand Prix Accolade. It works. Image quality is pretty good. I think I have this game on my Tandy as well. But it's all in CGA glory, so, you know. But it worked, and that's all I can ask for. I don't remember what the controls are. They can't be that bad. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful gameplay. Okay, so that worked. I can exit from here and go to DOS. There's nothing in the A drive, so... And there we go. Cool. All right, let's try another one.